Good morning. So Governor DeSantis is commending cops for their response on the recent growth in online threats towards schools around the state. He was at a roundtable discussion in Pinellas Park. He says they are not jokes, and he says that people should be held accountable. And it just seems like every day we're hearing new reports. I mean, in Polk County, the home of Sheriff Grady Judd, he said they had 24 people that they've arrested. And then in Volusia County, that's been getting national headlines, where the sheriff there wants to do perp walks on underage suspects. And he's already put online pictures and says he's going to continue to expose these kids and humiliate them because of what's going on in his county with the threats.
Yeah, this is a whole new level. These are record numbers. Never seen anything like this before. Some counties, they've had almost more threats just in the first couple of weeks of school this year than they had in all of last year. In Polk County, like you said, you had Sheriff Grady Judd speaking out about this yesterday, and you had Superintendent Fred Hyde. He said this about why he thinks they've seen so many recent threats. Quote, many of our students believe that social media is an appropriate place for them to try to garner attention. So he thinks this is part of an attention-getting strategy from young people, and he might be right.
I think so. I mean, because what's happening? They're getting a lot of attention for it. And my friend was telling me last night her son is in high school, and he's in this big group chat, like 100 people in it. Half of them he doesn't even know. And somebody posted in there, I'm going to shoot up the school, and the kid got arrested.
Yeah. And
so it's just a comment like that in a group chat is getting the kids arrested, and they have to know they cannot be doing that because kids are reporting it because they're taking it seriously.
Why do you want to get that kind of attention?
I don't know.
Because kids are stupid, Chris.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I mean, like that just is what it is. You know, they're just idiots. They want to get attention. Like negative attention is still attention.
Yeah, and some of them maybe I think are pretty troubled.
Yeah,
they're in pretty messed up homes. I think that's got to be part of the equation here. And the other day when we were talking about how much this is costing, you know, the resources being devoted to tracking down these threats and finding out whether or not they're real or hoaxes. I mean, it's adding up. And I said one thing that we should be doing, the parents should be on the hook for how much this is costing. And this is what Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd had to say about that yesterday.
We're asking now on every one of these cases for investigative costs. So not only are you going to have to deal with the school district and their authority, you're also going to have to deal with the criminal justice system. And we're asking for restitution for all of the costs to investigate these cases. It's one of these things like seller beware. You sell us a threat, you're not only going to get felony charges, but mom and dad are going to get hefty bills.
I think that's the way to go. I think that's more effective than a perp walk, to be honest with you. Not that I'm against the perp walk for, like the 16-year-old and the 17-year-old that got one the other day in Volusia County, but that's the way that this needs to go because this is unsustainable.
Yeah,
it's disrupting everything.
It's so different now because a generation ago, the only way you could make threats was calling on a phone line.
Yeah.
Now every kid has a phone
and
access to the internet, and that's where a lot of this is coming from through social media.
Right. The one positive out of all of this is that people are seeing something and saying something. They're reporting the threats. So that at least is a good thing. Speaking of something that's costing a lot of money.
Yeah, Palm Beach County wants help covering the costs of keeping Donald Trump safe. County Mayor Maria Sachs and other officials sent a letter to Senators Marco Rubio, Rick Scott, and members of Congress. They're asking for federal reimbursement for almost $7 million that they expect to spend between July and the November election. She says it takes extraordinary measures, and the taxpayers can't do it alone when you consider all the overtime and all the other resources that have to be devoted to keeping the former president safe.
And even more so now, following 2 assassination attempts, they're stepping up security to an even higher level. I mean, Mar-a-Lago is like a compound at this point, heavily fortified. So that's costing, and I can imagine county can't do it alone. That's something that they're going to need some help with.
We'll see if Congress helps out. Democratic Congresswoman Louise Frankel says that she is working with colleagues on both sides of the aisle to look at the resources and perhaps get a bipartisan measure in Congress passed so they can get the funding.
Yeah, I would think that would be reasonable. I mean, they're already talking about bipartisan legislation for more resources for the Secret Service. I would think they'd be able to help out Palm Beach County dealing with what they're having to deal with. And that's a disruption, too, when former president's in town and he's at Mar-a-Lago or the golf course, something like that, especially now, the area can get shut down pretty quick. And that causes some problems for the locals.
Yeah, and it's been an issue actually for a long time.
Yeah.
Really ever since Trump moved down there full time.
Right.
So big weekend in the NFL, and we've kind of got two different situations with our teams here in Florida. The Bucs host the Broncos, two teams in completely different situations.
Yeah,
Bucs
are
2-0. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Bucs are undefeated. They're facing an 0-2 Broncos team, and they have the advantage of a really big win of beating Detroit, which was, obviously one of the top teams in the NFC last year, and then they'll be at home. Now, the Dolphins, on the other hand, are in a much tougher situation. They got to go on the road, play Seattle without Tua, and a lot of questions about how the team's going to perform, considering the terrible situation involving their quarterback's concussion.
Let me start with the Bucs. It's not impossible that they could experience a letdown after the big win in Detroit. But I just feel like their defense with the rookie quarterback Denver has, who hasn't looked great through the first 2 weeks, I think the Bucs are going to win this one against Denver. Miami, that's a tough one to have to go with all they've been through this week. Tua being put on injured reserve, not knowing his status or when he may or may not come back. They got to go to Seattle, a tough place to play. I don't know how good Seattle is. They're 2-0, but they beat the Patriots and the Broncos, which aren't great teams. I just think that's going to be too tough for Miami.
Doesn't it seem like when our teams have to go out there, it's like they go to another country or
Yeah.
something. It's so far away.
It's a lot
the
of
time
travel.
zone difference. And other than, like going to Alaska or something, there's no place farther away than Seattle.
Right. It's been a long week. I think
Who are you taking? Because we're keeping track
All right.
here.
Well, I took Miami against USF, so I picked one Miami team to win. I'm going to pick Seattle to win that game.
Okay.
So Bucs and the Seahawks are my picks.
What about you, Chris?
Same thing.
All right.
Yeah, that's not a tough call there, I don't think. But you're right. Look, it's the NFL. Unlike college, where things are much more lopsided, any team in the NFL can win on any given week, and that includes Miami. I mean, they could go to Seattle and win. So,
They could be charged up and try to win one for Tua. Right.
That's right.
All right, Chris Trankman with today's top stories. Chris, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Coming up, we're going to play a clip from a recent Trump rally, and former Trump advisor Kellyanne Conway weighed in on the presidential race, and she made a really good point about it. We'll be back with that in 2 minutes right here on The Ryan Gorman Show.
From the Florida Law Group, Florida's Car Accident Lawyers Traffic Center. On our roads, we have an accident, shoulders blocked in Hillsborough, I-4 westbound at Dr. King. We have slow traffic Tampa, I-4 westbound between the Selma Connector and I-275. This traffic report is sponsored by Orlando Health. Introducing Florida Medical Clinic Orlando Health, a new partnership providing expanded access to award-winning care. It's a new name for a new level of care, giving you more reasons to choose well. Learn more at floridamedicalclinic.com. John Thomas, News Radio, WFLA.
Warning, the following ZipRecruiter radio spot you are about to hear is going to be filled with F words.
When you're hiring, we at ZipRecruiter know you can feel frustrated, forlorn even, like your efforts are futile, and you can spend a fortune trying to find fabulous people, only to get flooded with candidates who are just fine.
Not fun.
Fortunately, ZipRecruiter figured out how to fix all of that. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, you can forget your frustrations because we find the right people for your roles fast, which is our absolute favorite F word. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day.
Fantastic.
So, whether you need to hire 4, 40, or 400 people, get ready to meet first-rate talent. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. Don't forget, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Finally, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T.
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text SAVVY to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermal